there. And at the moment, we also have got other events going on. The Cabinet Secretary, Public Service, Gender and Affirmative Action, the Honorable Aisha Jumwa, and the Chief Justice Martha Koome are holding a high-level meeting. And this is to to launch the Protection Against Domestic Violence Act. So let us listen into Cabinet Secretary Aisha Jumwa, and then we shall come back and continue the conversation around chess.
Emphasize prevention, intervention, and holistic support, reflecting a multi-sectorial approach that involves collaboration between government agencies, civil society organizations, and the community at large. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to highlight some key aspects of these rules. Firstly, the rules establish clear guidelines for obtaining protection orders, ensuring that survivors have access to swift and effective legal remedies. These orders will prohibit the perpetrator from further acts of violence, safeguarding the safety and security of the survivor and any children involved. Secondly, the rules emphasize the importance of prevention and early intervention. They underline the need and responsibility by legal duty bearers to handle survivors with compassion, while also ensuring the perpetrators are held accountable for their actions. Lastly, these rules underscore the importance of public awareness and community engagement. We must challenge the social norms and attitudes that perpetuate domestic violence even as the rule of law takes effect. Through targeted awareness campaigns, education initiatives, and community dialogue, we aim to foster a society that embraces equality, respect, and nonviolence. Ladies and gentlemen, the launch of the Protection Against Domestic Violence rule is just the beginning. Implementing these rules effectively requires the collective effort of all stakeholders, government, development partners, civil society, community leaders, and every Kenyan citizen. We must work together to create a society that rejects violence in all its forms and stand up for the rights and dignity of every individual. I urge each and every one of you to familiarize yourselves with these rules. Support survivors in their journey to healing and justice, and join us in advocating for a society free from domestic violence. Together, let's build a nation where every home is a sanctuary of love, respect, and peace. As I conclude, I wish to appreciate the accountability requirement for our courts to dispense swiftly and effective cases of gender-based violence. I commend our Chief Justice and President of the Supreme Court, who is well represented here today, for recently launching the first ever special court for handling sexual violence cases at Shanzu Law Court in Mombasa. The judiciary commitment to raise the bar on judiciary accountability for gender-based violence cases will serve to help preserve the dignity of survivors and enhance fair trial within the tenets of the Constitution. I am aware that all other government institutions in the gender-based violence referral pathways are putting in place significant reforms to ensure Justice for Survivors of Domestic Violence and GBV. We recognize the key role of the Rules Committee of the Judiciary and Gender and Media Initiative for the consistent support in the development of these rules among other stakeholders, and she leads Kenya for facilitating this launch. We appreciate the individual and institutional commitment to end gender-based violence. And I want, before I conclude my speech, I want to say that our work is far from over, and we must fill the gap. I want to echo the sentiments of the speakers who took the stage before me, and the requests that have been made. And I want to say that the beginning of justice to our survivors is at the police. And it is very sad that today a survivor is required to pay between 1,000 and 3,000 Kenya shillings to acquire a P3 form. It is very sad, and I want to say that because by requiring as a P3 form, as I have said, is the beginning, or it is the starting of the journey to justice to these survivors. So if they are asked to pay 1,000 to 3,000, depending on the police station where these survivors will report, is actually to re-victimize that person who is already victimized. And therefore, I would request that this service be rendered free of charge. There was a request to establish funded and operational.
That is the Cabinet Secretary, Public Service, Gender and Affirmative Action, the Honorable Aisha Jumwa. And she is speaking in Nairobi as she holds a high-level meeting to launch the Protection Against Domestic Violence Act and rules. And our reporter at that event is Irene Muchuma, so she's going to be giving us details of that event as it continues.